let's continue to our next topic though, because we are talking about Daniel Jones. Because I believe it was after Friday's show that a new report came out saying that Daniel Jones' first offer was $48 million a year. More than Mahomes he was offering, or he was asking for. More money than Patrick Mahomes he wanted. And then the Giants countered with an offer between $35 and $39 million. And here we are now. We've come to the trade deadlines tomorrow at 4 p.m. with no deal, it seems, right now in sight. You're taking a look at it. Daniel Jones' agents are going to go visit with the Giants sometime in New Jersey to figure out, how to get a deal done. Or the Giants have already said they're going to franchise tag Daniel Jones if they can't get a deal done, which,
Well, what's that mean for Barkley then?
We'll get into that. So I'm going to ask you, let's say, should the Giants franchise tag Daniel Jones, or do you think that, they'll be able to come to a long-term deal?
How much money would they have to pay him in a franchise tag
situation? A little over $32 million.
$32 million?
That's fully guaranteed.
They might do that, but I don't think they're going to, because they're going to do that for Barkley. I think they hang on to him. They'll franchise tag him. They want to get a deal done with Daniel Jones for a long-term contract, and I bet you he'll be just a little north of $40 million, and Daniel Jones will take
that.
It.
Is ridiculous.
I think that's what's going to happen, though. That's my prediction.
That may happen, but that is absolutely. We're talking about a guy for the first 4 years. First 4 years. They denied his fifth-year option. Or first 3 years, technically. This was his fourth year. The guy looked horrible. Think about it. He had 15 touchdowns this season. 15 passing touchdowns. He presented himself that he's worth more than Patrick Mahomes. The dude is called a bust. And
he's not going to get a $500 million contract.
No, he wanted $48 million a year. Mahomes getting $45 a year right now.
No, well, over the course of his whole contract, he's getting $500 million.
I know, but think about it though. Mahomes
$500 million. No,
I understand. Huh? Like that. That's crazy.
$500 million.
But think about it though. Mahomes is making less right now. Right now, he's one of the lower paying elite quarterbacks. And Daniel Jones is saying, "I'll take $48 million a year, please." $48 million.
How many years did Daniel Jones ask for?
What it's looking like, it's looking like 4 years, $40 million a year.
That's a long way from $500 million.
He ain't worth it. All due respect, Daniel Jones played very efficiently this season, but here's the problem. You denied his fifth-year option last year. I said this at the end of last show, where I said that Brian Daboll came in a year late, because right now you come into the season. Last season, you would determine whether you want the fifth-year option or not. If Daniel Jones played great last year, you say, okay, we take the fifth-year option.
Let me ask you
and
this.
be in the situation now.
Let me ask you this. What do they do if they don't land Daniel Jones?
I said this on the show. Look at Anthony Richardson from Florida. He right now, according to, I believe it was the Next Gen Stats or PFF or something like that, he was the most athletic person at the Combine. He broke records for vertical jump, broad jump. I mean, the dude is an athlete. He is a very, very good athlete.
You need to be a good vertical jumper to be a quarterback?
He's breaking records. But he didn't throw it much at Florida, though. That's the big question.
New York is not going to put up with losing Daniel Jones and going with some rookie. They don't want to see that again. They want to see more playoff football.
You're not going to see it with Daniel Jones.
I think you will. Here's the problem, though. They can strengthen their team at wide receiver next year. That will help Daniel Jones a lot.
Well,
they can work on the offensive line a little bit. They can do that. They can re-sign. They can franchise tag Saquon Barkley, so they have him, right? And their defense is pretty good, and they have a great coaching staff. So the chances of getting back to the playoffs, I think, are very good.
Well,
with Daniel Jones, not without him.
Here's what I'm going to talk to you about.
That's why he's going to get $42 million a year.
That is ridiculous. He is not worth $42 million a year. Right now, if they franchise tag Daniel Jones, which is looking like they will, their salary cap goes from $46 million to $14 million this year. It would knock out any chance of getting a superstar. Any chance of signing.
That's why they're going to sign him for a longer-term deal, so they don't have to
franchise. It's not looking like that. Saquon's going to be gone. If they franchise him, Saquon's gone. You can't afford him.
They're not going to let that happen. They're going to strike a deal with Daniel Jones for a longer-term contract.
I'm telling you right now, it's not looking like that.
He'll be smart to take that money, because I agree with you. He's not the greatest quarterback out there.
No team outside the Giants are willing to pay him $40 million a year, let alone what he asked for was $48 million.
Yeah, he's probably in the top 6 or 7 quarterbacks in the NFC, though, right? Who else? We just went through this. There aren't many great quarterbacks in the NFC.
I completely agree with that. Yeah, the NFC is the weaker division, which is another reason Aaron Rodgers should stay with the Packers. You go to the
He'll
Jets.
He'll be the best quarterback in the division then. I mean, in the NFC, if he stays with the Packers, then, for sure.
Ooh, you think best in the NFC?
In the NFC,
I'm taking Jalen Hurts number 1. We saw last year; he didn't look too good, but I mean, talent-wise, he's still up there. He still sling the football pretty damn well.
We'll see if he can do it consistently.
But like Daniel Jones, we're talking about a guy who was like a bust for 3 years. He comes in, he doesn't
what have you done for me
though.
lately? And look at this, Nate.
Fair?
He had a lousy coaching staff.
I agree.
The coaching was horrible for him the first 3 years. He had multiple offensive coordinators. Right. They brought in a decent coaching staff, and the guy performed well.
Here's the thing.
He performed well.
Who had definitely subpar offensive lines and had a coach almost every single year and didn't make $40 million? A guy on our list today, Derek Carr. Derek Carr played 9 seasons under the worst defense. He played under 6 head coaches.
That's why I think the Saints got a great deal for him. I think he was actually worth more money than that.
But here's the thing. I would take Derek Carr over Daniel Jones. I would. He's better arm talent. He's less athletic, I'll give you that. But he's a better thrower.
No, I don't know why the Giants should have expressed some interest in him to see if they could have had a discussion with him.
The fact that Derek Carr signed a deal today hurts any chances of the Giants making this absurdly high deal. Because if you take a look at, if you say Derek Carr is even comparable to Daniel Jones, right? You say Daniel Jones is better than Derek Carr. Let's just say that. Derek Carr's getting $37.5 million. You should not be getting $40 million, period.
That's a good point. That did set a benchmark.
And think about it. Here's the thing, right? I understand Daniel Jones wants to make the bag. If you do, let's say, get $42 million a year, like you're saying, you won't have much to work with outside of that.
Well, do you think the Giants will let him test free agency then?
I guarantee you.
I don't think they're brave enough to do that. I don't think they're brave
Brian
enough
Dable's
to do that.
too smart.
They're not brave enough to do that.
If Daniel Jones has relatively the same season this year, I don't think Daniel Jones is going to have nearly the same year, rushing for 700 yards. He threw 15 touchdowns. I think Russell Wilson had one more than him, and it took Russell Wilson until like week 17 to throw more touchdowns than the bathrooms in his house.
He had just a few interceptions, though. He didn't have very many interceptions.
And that's the big thing. But think about it, though. For the first 3 years, I believe he had 50 touchdowns to 49 turnovers. That is ridiculous.
I agree.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
Again, you have to look at the
this
body of work.
$40 million.
The recent body of work.
But you can't throw out the rest of his career. You can't say, last year he played great.
He benefits from not many other quarterbacks being out there right now.
That's another thing. The Giants, it's that or what?
Yeah.
It's that
They're not going to
what?
let him go. The fan base will be up in arms if he's not going to be the quarterback next year.
Let's just say, okay, so let's say you're right. $42 million a year, let's say 4 years, $42 million.
Then they can franchise tag Saquon Barkley.
Would you still draft a quarterback? Would you go in, and if you had the opportunity at, I think they put the 25th
in the first
pick,
round.
You wouldn't go in, if Anthony Richardson's available at the 25th pick, you wouldn't get him? You wouldn't get it. Woo!
Oh, maybe.
You got to have something. Because think about it. If you sign Daniel Jones and he has relatively a similar year or the same year he does this year, you're not going to be in the running for a great... Next year's quarterback draft class is great. Caleb Williams and a plethora of... I can't name off the top of my head, but you got a lot of talent next year. Here's what I would do, right? I would get a Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton, a Baker Mayfield. Bring him in. Play him for a season. Tank, because you can't tank. Go get Caleb Williams. Play horrible to go get Caleb Williams. There was a guy in our comments section that said...
That isn't going to happen.
It's not going to happen, but it would be just a better situation than Daniel Jones, your long-term deal. Daniel Jones is not beating a great playoff team. He beat the 31st ranked defense in the Vikings.
You know what? Give him a better receiving core. Strengthen the offensive line a little bit more.
If you franchise tag Daniel Jones, which once again, it looks like they will, you're not going to have the money to spend on a DeAndre Hopkins or a T. Higgins or anything like that. You won't have the money.
Well, that's why they're not going to franchise tag him. They're going to sign him to a longer-term deal.
Then Daniel Jones and his agents need to get off their ass and make some sort of deal that isn't between 48 and 40.
Well, they're just starting out high so that they can drive up the bottom offer a little bit. I don't think they're expecting $48 million.
That's what his agent said he's worth.
Of course, they're going to come out. Would you, if you were negotiating, would you come out with a very high offer? You wouldn't want to leave any money on the table.
Yeah, but think about what it's turning into. It's turning into literally we're coming to the 11th hour in the 59th minute.
Everything happens at the 11th hour.
And it may come to bite you.
The big deals all happen at the last minute.
It may come in to bite you. You may make $10 million less than what you're hoping for. And actually, in the process, screwing over your own chances at another contract later on after the 4 years.
Well, he'd be wise to stay in New York because that's a big market.
No one's going to be spending $39 million on Daniel Jones if he hits the open market. No one. He's going for 35 if he hits the open market. And he played good.
Well, then you know what?
Good.
Then the Giants could come back in and make another offer at 38 or 39 to land him.
It should be between 35 and 39.
They're not willing to risk it, though. I guarantee you they're not willing to risk that he might go sign somewhere else. There's plenty of teams that would go after him, Nate. There are plenty of teams that would go after him. The Panthers could go after him.
Panthers could go after him, you're right.
The Colts could go after him.
Colts are going to draft.
I think the Colts could. They would if
you
they would take
Daniel
a hard
Jones,
look at Daniel Jones.
You look at Daniel Jones, you look like a Will Levis, who I think is underrated. You take a look at a C.J. Stroud, maybe from Ohio State. Bryce Young isn't going to be available at that point, but if they trade up, you have Bryce Young at number one. Maybe
I think they would look at Stroud because he's close to he's in that area. We went to Ohio State,
right?
Indianapolis, Indiana. That's not far away. So a lot of people follow that guy. So he would be a good draw probably. So
he's got a lot of talent. So, for me, Daniel Jones, it's ridiculous. I'm going to say right now, with the way the situation's going, if it's not below 40, if the agents don't and Daniel Jones
it's going to be a hair over 40.
If here's the thing, if it's below 40, they're going to get a long-term deal done. I think if it's still between the 40 to 45 range, we're looking at tomorrow at Tuesday at 4. Tomorrow. About 12 to 4 p.m. is going to come out saying breaking news: the Giants are franchise tagging Daniel Jones. I think that's going to happen if they can get a deal done tomorrow before the trade deadline. If they meet, let's say tonight, let's say they're meeting right now to figure out a deal, and if the offer between the Giants is still between 41 and 45, 40 and 45, the Giants are going to be like, no, Derek Carr's a comic book quarterback. He's making $37.5 million, and he threw more touchdowns than you. He's been technically, you can compare the situations. The Raiders have been a dysfunctional franchise for Lord knows how long. The Giants have at least been somewhat functional. The owners, you had a bad GM. Gettleman was a bad GM. But you had Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett was a fine play caller. He had large success with the Cowboys. And then Freddie Kitchens is a situation. You had a couple of coaches that were terrible. But just we're talking
I would say Daniel Jones did not benefit from the coaching that the Giants
He didn't benefit, but the structure of the Giants is still much better than the Raiders.
I don't even think he's in the NFL anymore. I don't know what happened to him. The first coach that Daniel Jones
What, Pat Shurmur?
Yeah, what happened to him? He's not around.
Who's calling plays for the Panthers? Is that Ben McAdoo? I think.
Yeah, well, he was there too.
He was a part of that coaching staff as well. Yeah. So, but here's the thing, right? Yes, horrible coaches, a bad GM. But the structure of the Giants wasn't falling apart. You were having teammates, go to prison for killing people in car crashes. You weren't having your first round picks and most of your picks
but they didn't
in a
have
singular
much
draft.
They have very little talent.
The Raiders have had horrible talent.
They didn't have much talent.
Their defense ranked 32nd. The Giants at least had a comparable defense since Daniel Jones got there. It hasn't been great, but it's been
defense is good now that they've got a good defensive coordinator. Wink Martindale's a good defensive coordinator.
That's very true.
He made a big difference.
No, I would agree with that.
They overperformed their talent. They were above their talent in the way they played. That's a credit to the coach.
It is.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Brian Dable's too smart to say that we're going to spend $42 million on a guy that could beat up on a 31st ranked defense, but that's it.
You wait and see. I bet they get a deal done.
If they get a deal done, how many wins do you think the Giants are going to get? You think they're going to do better than what? They went 9-8 this past year? 9-7-1? You think they're going to do the same as 9-7-1?
I think they could get to 10 wins.
Oh my God!
I do think they could get to 10 wins
because
they're going to improve the wide receiver core, and they'll probably get another offensive lineman. So we'll see.
Here's the thing, right? Daniel Jones he's gonna make $40 million, isn't he? This guy's gonna make $40 million a year. If you compare it to the rest of the talent in the NFL, he's not an elite quarterback. He's not raising up a team.
Shame on the Giants. They should have given him the 5th-year option.
But he wasn't worth the 5th-year option.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, if Brian Dable came in a year sooner, which was impossible to guess,
then they would have given
the fifth-year option and wouldn't have been in this situation because if he played bad, let's say fifth-year option would be this year. If he played this year and played poorly, then we're going to go get a quarterback.
Yeah.
But now they're saying it's either you franchise tag him, screw up the future for this year, you either sign to a long-term deal and have issues, you have to work around some issues there, or you say, screw it, and just let him go, which is literally, it would be choice Z on the option of choices.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't be the future, but
we'll see what happens. It's going to happen soon. We're going to know before. We'll know by the show on Friday.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what exactly gets broken down here. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.